Alright, it's time to do a video on a topic that I've been requested to do for a while, and yeah, I figured I'll tap into the popularity of her latest single of Me and talk about why I love Taylor Swift. Now, this might come as a surprise for those that are just kind of looking at my videos from a peripheral, but yeah, I love me some Taylor Swift, and so I've kind of broken this down into a number of topics of why I do, because if it was just one of these many things, it wouldn't really explain my semi-obsession with the artist. So the first was how I was introduced to Taylor Swift, and the main culprit here is one of my best friends, Gemma. Hi, Gemma. She told me that I needed to really check her out when she dropped her Red album. And I was just kind of hemming and hawing. I'm like, it's another pop artist, and I don't really like pop all that much. I find it very isolating. You know, she kept kind of just not necessarily like reminding me, but every once in a while just saying, hey, you really should check it out. It's really good. So it wasn't until that January, February. And to make a very long story relatively short, I had gotten my first job out of library school, actually working in the library field. I was working for the Ontario Library Association. I was managing the phones for their super conference that was going on at the time. It had culminated into the actual conference itself. So another friend of mine and myself split a room in Toronto. Marnie and I, hi Marnie, we split a room, and I decided, okay, to get myself into the mood, I didn't want to listen to anything that was really heavy, anything that was really proggy, anything that was really dense. I decided to revisit Gemma's idea of listening to Taylor Swift, and I downloaded Red, and I listened to it through the 3 or 4 days of the conference. So whenever I had some downtime, I listened to the album, and it was really good. I enjoyed how happy it was, how it blended the folk side with the poppy, accessible side. It had, a lot of get up and go tracks, and it wasn't completely up here all the time. There was a lot of very intimate and very personal songs on it as well. So the blending of all the things that were going around, the lovely time that I had with Marnie, the constant reminder of Gemma, and the new style of music that I was being presented to within this kind of culmination of, I graduated with my degree, I'm actually putting it to use, I'm meeting all the different movers and shakers within my industry and within my profession. That all kind of came to a head within that week, and it just provided such a great soundtrack to it that I can't help but get a pep in my step whenever I listen to Red, and Red is still my favorite Taylor Swift album because of that. Now, that alone wouldn't strike it as the obsession that I've kind of created since then. If that were the case, I would love bands such as Carly Rae Jepsen, which I do, but not quite to the same extent, but even Lorde or Lana Del Rey. So these other artists have kind of come in, and it kind of scratched the itch that I do love of that particular style, but never quite to the same extent. And another reason, and this kind of comes into part 2 of why I really, really like Taylor Swift, is it scratches the itch of the singer-songwriter, contemporary female vocalist that I had within the 90s. I love that scene, and we're talking about bands such as Sixpence None the Richer, Vanessa Carlton, No Doubt, The Cardigans, The Cranberries, Natasha Benfield, Ditto, Alanis Morissette, Nelly Furtado. All of these artists, there's something about them that I just can't help but love. It just speaks to me on such an intimate and personal level that no other style of music has really been able to get in and talk almost directly to me. I feel like Taylor Swift's approach, at least within her first 3 albums, kind of channeled that same essence, that same energy. And hearing that and seeing that being applied, I mean, that's why I still like Lana Del Rey. That's why I like Carly Rae Jepsen. That's why I really like a lot of those, like Lorde. It's got that same kind of energy, just a little bit on the modern side of that. And part of the reason why I like it is because of the stark contrast of all the music that I already listen to. Like, I love me some metal. I love me some dense prog. I love that crazy, impressionistic, balls to the wall insanity. I love the big, grand noise. But I also need a little bit of a counter. Like, I need a little bit of a cleansing of the palette. I need a contrast, because if I'm always up here, I don't have anything to compare it to. I need something to contrast my love for that style of music as well. And Taylor Swift provides a perfect foil to those big bands. Another thing that I do enjoy, and this is coming into third, fourth reason, is to watch her progression as an artist. I mean, seeing her as a kid within her first 2 albums and practically a teenager, like essentially she was a teenager for those first 2 albums. Seeing her progress into the young woman that she was within 1989 in Red, and now seeing how she's becoming an adult within Reputation and this next coming album that we're going to get within either this year or next year. And with that, we probably come to the last reason of why I love Taylor Swift, and that is essentially, at the end of the day, the music. I really, really enjoy her music, and that's coming from like a really personal place. Like, I love how intimate and how genuine she is. Like, within the first couple of albums, you can kind of feel the big machine that's behind her, and I'm not just saying that because that's the record label that she's attached with, but you do see the corporate guys that are standing behind her kind of dictating where to go. But when she finally starts to develop her own voice, it might not be perfect, but nobody is. And I do like that flawed atmosphere and the personality she brings within her music. You can tell that she's the one that's behind the music. You can tell that even though there's a lot of corporate suits behind her making sure that she's making the right decisions, she's still the one that's making those decisions. But also her mastery of songwriting ship. Like, she does a great job of doing something so brilliant with so little. Songs, even though I'm not a big fan, but for instance of Gorgeous, of State of Grace being one of my favorite songs of all time, Getaway Car, her ability to blend the minor keys within the major tones of that overall atmosphere of the song. Her songwriting ship is very, very well crafted, and I love to see the progression of that, to see where it was very innocent, very juvenile within her first couple of albums, and blending into a more polished, more realized atmosphere within her later albums. So yeah, overall, that's kind of why I really, really enjoy that. The songwriting ship, the blending of harmonies, blending all those together into a very well-crafted artist. That's why I love her. She is pretty easy on the eyes. I mean, that does factor in definitely a little bit, and I would be a fool not to at least acknowledge that within this part. And yeah, that's pretty much it of why I love Taylor Swift. The past that I've had, how I was introduced to her, the style of music that I love, the contrast to the style of music that I love, and her talent. Like, I would be remiss if I don't at least recognize the talent. And of course, she is quite attractive. So yeah, all of those blending together just create a genuine love for her music and her performances. And that's why I love Taylor Swift. That's about it for me. What's an artist that everybody keeps asking you, why do you like the artist that you do? Let me know of that by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.